Could that happen?
Yeah, I think they will. They'll try and have some element of a downtime for the season and then a proper season start, right? Because I think there's just so much money riding on it that they can't screw up the next season and next season's schedule, especially because the Euros have got postponed now until next year. They want to bleed into that.
Yeah.
So I think absolutely right. I think they will just try and condense it and say, right, yeah, a midweek, 2 midweek games or something like that, and a weekend game, whatever it really takes to just get the league done in. Like,
it feels to me like FPL are trying to condense it by going like, 31 to 35, we're just going to give you 0, but you can do all these transfers. And then it looks like they're going to do just 3 weeks. What do people think about how the league should end? I've seen reports of let it just go even if it goes into next season. What do you guys think?
I think in terms of how they do it for the rest of the games, they were talking about staggering the games. So first of all, if everyone's still in lockdown, especially in the UK, then they'll have a game on every other hour, right? So they won't play the games all at the same time because they want to put all the games on TV for entertainment, right? So to keep everyone entertained, because the fact that the stadiums will be empty. So they'll stagger the games. So there's always football on, 24/7, but through the day, and then just try and do it every other day. You'll only have like a day or 2 in between game, and that's the thing. So I think they could do it in 3 weeks.
So they've cancelled the Euros as well, right? So that's a potential, to finish every league across the world, because this obviously impacts every country as well. So you think
the sort of Champions League and UEFA League finals were going to be sort of the 23rd and 28th of June respectively. Teams, hopefully every nation could get their league finished before then. All contracts extended till the end of June, and then just kind of play it out.
I reckon they'll bin the Champions League and the Europa. They'll just let the leagues finish out.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think the Champions League and the FA Cup's more important, NVD. I don't know, I mean, Man City are still in the Champions League. Man U still in the FA Cup. Liverpool, are they in the league? Top of the league, but two games shy.
Don't remind me.
I can't believe you. It's going to be worse than the Stevie G slip if you don't win.
Imagine you had just won those 2 games.
Oh my God!
In the last month.
That's Watford.
Imagine it was already all wrapped up.
Yeah, well, that's the
big hard on.
I can't believe it, to be honest. It is unjust that if they don't finish the league, and I've heard people say they might not finish the league, do you think they just give it to Liverpool?
Yeah.
They have to give it.
But then what about the teams that are in the relegation zone? They have to relegate.
To get relegated, they have to go down.
Then you just play a playoff. Just kind of like a relegation playoff or something like that.
And one of the things that people are most worried about is Sheffield United have got a game in hand and could technically go above Manchester United. I mean, I'm not too fussed about that game, but should they get
only fair
Champions League?
Sheffield United, I think they've tried hard this season. They should get the 4th spot. Man United,
yeah, but Fernandes has tried very hard as well. I would like to pause one moment to put some big respect out there to Pep Guardiola. I don't know if you guys saw, he put $1 million euros aside to fight the coronavirus in Spain, which was very, very nice of him. I genuinely don't like Man City usually, but I think that's a nice thing that he's done. Very commendable. But in terms of trying to buy his way back into UEFA next year, I don't know if that will work. But there you go. So basically, league, we do think the league will finish. Pellers has got an idea that over 3 weeks they'll just smash the games out, and perhaps Fantasy Premier League will only do 3 weeks. I think that's probably what they've got to do, right, if they want the next season to start as it is. But they need to finish the season.
One thing that we didn't mention is that they could start games maybe earlier. It's just that they'll play games behind closed doors.
Yeah. Do you think that's safe, though?
The possibility of extending it.
Is that safe to do that? Play these games behind closed doors? That's what they originally started doing, and then they cancelled it.
The only difficult thing is that how do you stop fans congregating outside the grounds, right? I mean, you can put isolation measures in place, which Boris Johnson has done, but
then congregate in a pub around your mate's house, aren't you?
Yeah.
There's also they're saying that they might actually do all of the games from June the 1st in 6 weeks, and then finish at the beginning of August.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
Why don't they just? Here's another idea. Why don't they just have one big FIFA tourney?
I saw that idea kicking around.
Yeah, one player from each team. They just play against each other. All the fixtures on.
Yeah, but I mean, the only problem with that, right?
24 hours.
The only problem with that is sometimes you get a dodgy controller, don't you? I remember when we were around Pella's house, I got given this dodgy old controller from like the 80s. I didn't even think it had a Y button. It didn't even have a Y button.
It was a joystick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was big and pink, mate. It started vibrating when I pressed the button. I had to stop pressing it.
Were you playing FIFA or in his wife's bedroom?
They told me it was FIFA, mate. They told me it was FIFA. I'll tell you what, I definitely scored that night. Anyhow. All that aside, does anyone foresee a state where the Premier League does not finish? We can't fathom that, I don't think, from what I'm hearing.
I think it's got to, even if it impacts, if they not scrap next year, they adjust next year, they've got to finish it, because otherwise this debate will just go on forever, won't it? You know? Yeah, it'll be unjust. You can't relegate. I don't see, just as much as you can't take the Liverpool, Championship away. You can't relegate Bournemouth when they've just fallen into the relegation zone literally, the week before.
As a West Ham fan, that's very noble of you. I'd be saying, bye Bournemouth. You're safe, aren't you?
I know what you're saying, because it'll work out well for West Ham. But you've got to think.
Yeah.
Just imagine all the
for all of the fans, across the world. Yeah.
Yeah, all that money that a club will lose by getting relegated, and what if they get relegated? Like a lot of teams like Leeds, Nottingham Forest, all the others. What if they end up another one of them? Then you'll never hear the end of it, will you?
No, you certainly won't.
Making it null and void as well is look at all the money that's already been spent. You have to give the fans back their money for games that technically can happen. You have to give the TV companies back their money. It cannot happen.
Well, I mean, I'm on tenterhooks to see what will happen. I think I'm excited to see what will happen, and hopefully FPL, whatever happens in the league, FPL will take the same stance. I'd rather they play every single game week. But let's see what happens anyway. I mean, at this point in the show, our regular listeners, you'll know we usually go to one clop, one flop. But one thing, obviously, with no games having been played, that I was thinking about as I read more and more football to get me through the days, I saw one article come out saying the worst player for every team this season. And I thought it'd be good to find out from you lads, who's the one flop from your team this year? Not necessarily your fantasy team, from the team you support. Who do you feel has been the one flop? NVD, Liverpool, I mean, it's hard to pick someone. You've all been very good. But if you had to pick one flop in the team, who would you say that is?
One flop in the team? I mean, there's a reason why we're top. You know what? If it's a little harsh and he barely plays, but when he does, unfortunately, just kind of, shit just goes down, and Dejan Lovren has got to be the flop. Oh, yeah,
he was shocking against Watford.
He was. I mean, to be fair, Virgil van Dijk was at fault for one of the goals, but he's so shaky that he just unsettles the team. So he's definitely one flop. So yeah, I'm going to stick with him.
Same question to you, Pellers. We like harsh as well on the show, as harsh as you can be.
I think it's a good question, Jimmy. I also think we should think about for the FPL teams as well. What's been your most disappointing player for the FPL? But in terms of West Ham, Felipe Anderson, he's been terrible. And I know you brought him up on a few game weeks ago, and he's just been a big letdown. He had a decent season last season, but he's been awful for the Hammers. He pretty much benched now.
That's good to hear. I'm glad he's on the bench, and I think you raise a valid point about looking at it from a fantasy perspective as well. And if you were to look at it from a fantasy perspective, only 61 points all season from Anderson.
Yeah,
he's very good at turning in zeros, ones, and twos. So I think it transpires what you're seeing, and what you feel is pretty much accurate to what we're seeing. And if you look at Liverpool and Lovren, 17 points, mate.
He barely plays, but I mean, if I was to be objective about who I had in my team and was started promising and then just became a right flop, was Callum Wilson. I got him in early, started banging in the goals, getting points consistently, and then he just dropped like a rock. And I kept him in way too long before I finally got him out.
I mean, the interesting thing about Lovren is he's played 9 games for you guys, and you haven't kept a clean sheet in any of them.
It's pretty telling, yeah.
Yeah, very telling. Sean John McGinn fanboy, Aston Villa. What are you seeing there, mate?
I think the biggest disappointment has been John McGinn getting injured.
That was a disappointment. He was doing so well.
I know, and well, he wasn't so well before Christmas, and I kind of think before December, then it kind of got a bit much to him. So the injury, I think, was just part of his fatigue. It's good to see him back. He's not back in training, or he was back in training before he had to stay at home. So it's good for him. If the season does restart, it might mean he gets some more game time than he would have been used to. So,
and it's been difficult for Villa without him, because when he was in the team, they were sitting okay in the league, and now I think they really have dropped, and they could have done with him back. So I mean, it's a flop he got injured, but he is a decent player, and that is why you are a fan.
Villa play this counter-attacking football where they've kind of scored a lot of goals. They've had some good results against some big teams, and then just so many results which could have been games that they shouldn't have lost, that they just slipped up on. And where they are in the league at the moment, it's kind of if you watch them as a team and watch them play, you actually think, they do play better football and they don't deserve to be done there, but they just don't seem to have the composure or the Premier League experience. And
it's true,
a bit like you, Jamie. That's why you're down in 7th as well. Yeah,
you just can't hack it against the big boys. You're getting that big boy league, and too much. All of the pressure gets to you. And anyhow, over to Patrick Vieira. And listeners, many of you would think Patrick Vieira, Arsenal. That's where we're going next. But I mean, Patrick Vieira. Many of you will know he's actually a Fulham fan, so can't really go to you, Patrick, because Fulham are not in the FPL, are they? But from your team, not yet. They might come up.
They're third in Championship, so they're in the playoffs if that happened.
Yeah,
so they might be up next year.
Fingers crossed that does happen. But you could tell us from your Fantasy Premier League team who's been your biggest disappointment.
I mean, it's obvious, right? It's Baby Raheem.
Baby Raheem. Gosh.
I had him for probably a good 8-10 games, and he started off fairly well, but then he just wasn't performing like last season. And although he hasn't, he's got 118 points this season. He just hasn't been the sort of player that he was.
Yeah, I know. He's been very disappointing in terms of what we were expecting from him since last season. And I hope that you're withholding his mask from him for his terrible behaviour this season. But the only just thing to do. Captain Russ, take us home, mate, before we go into the break from part one. Who's not done it at Spurs and in your team?
Well, where do I start? Do I start in defence? Do I start...
This could be a whole episode, couldn't it?
Exactly. I think generally, Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, see you later, lads.
What a nightmare! What a bad decision. I said it from the start.
I said it from the true, start. You did.
He's not. Yeah, it's there's nothing there. In the defence, we've got every time we go up front, it doesn't look like we're going to score. Without those key players, without Kane, without.
And is that Mourinho's fault, you feel, or is it just you don't have the players?
I just don't think we've got the management. I don't think we gel as a team. I think he's the wrong man for the job.
I'd agree with you. I think Mourinho's definitely been a flop since he's been at Spurs. Started well, awful ever since, and started well in a couple of games. I think
it was one game, actually. I don't think there was even more than that. It was just, the first game, we did well, and then it's like watching Spurs a few seasons ago before Poch kind of came onto the scene. It's just terrible football. It's not enjoyable to watch. So hopefully there'll be some changes.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And listeners, we are trying to bring positivity to you, so we'll end it on that note. That is the last flop. I'm going to go and get a Corona, the beer, and we'll see you for part 2. Well, hey. To part 2 of Left Back in the Changing Room. Hey, welcome back to the show, listeners. I'm sure you've been missing us during the ad break. Thank you for sticking with us. Very, very good to have all the lads around the table. And we are going to go straight in by popular demand. The phone is ringing.
Is it this week?
It's a Rambolino. Hello there. Who do we have on the line?
Hello, it is Jean-Paul de Claude.
Hello, Jean-Paul de Claude. How are you?
Hello, Jimmy Ferguson. I am very good to speak to you today.
It's great to speak to you too, mate. Are you a regular listener of the show?
Oh, guys! I will tell you the one thing: the Frenchmen, we are not the best at the lying. So no, not really. I have never listened to your piece of shit before, but with all this quarantine going on, I had to do something, and I came across your show on Spotify, and I sit there with my baguette and with the butter, baguette butter, and I sit there and listen to the show, and that's it.
Jean-Paul, I love that you love the show. I think the online conferencing system might have experienced a few technical difficulties there. It came across as